A very good morning to all of you. It gives us immense pleasure to welcome you all again for the last and concluding session on private international law. Without taking much time, we would like to request Honorable Advocate Anil Malhotra sir to speak on the topic legal issues relating to surrogacy, its analysis, suggestive cross-border perspective, and safeguards for proposed surrogacy laws in India. We are sure that you all will feel enriched with knowledge after completion of this session. We would like to request sir to take the dais.
Very good morning. I've got a PowerPoint, but I'll run through the PowerPoint, give you a brief idea, and then you'll see how it goes. I think I'll do a little background first. Now, friends, surrogacy is an issue which involves a lot of human interest. First of all, how and why did surrogacy develop? Primarily, this was something which was perpetuated and generated by the huge Indian diaspora, which is 30 million plus in 180 countries abroad. Adoptions inter-country after Lakshmikant Pandey 1, 2 and 3 became a difficult task because it was a long, tedious, arduous process and people had to wait for a long time. Then with the advent of technology, science, communication, and medical expertise, Gujarat being the pioneer, you could have a child with your genetic material and your features, and therefore surrogacy, so to say, came in very quietly. And in 2005, the Indian Council for Medical Research, which is a part of the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, made what are national guidelines for accreditation, supervision and regulation of artificial reproductive technology clinics in India 2005. So 2005, surrogacy got official recognition through a very subtle means or a process of guidelines. They are not a statute. They have no force of law. They are not legislated by a lawmaking body. Now, these guidelines contain a lot of medical terms, but the part which concerns us is it allowed single women and likewise single men to go in for surrogacy. So it was a free world. Slowly things went on. 2008 was the first so-called exposure of fertility in the Supreme Court in Baby Manji Amda's case. It's 2008 Supreme Court, Justice Prasad settlement. Now, Baby Manji Amda's case is very interesting. It was a Japanese couple who came to India for surrogacy, but when the child was born, the couple was divorced, and the lady did not want the child. The hospital refused to part with the child and wanted to give it in adoption. So the Japanese father came to India, moved the Supreme Court, and wanted the custody of the child. Now, issues arose: what is the parentage of the child? What is the nationality of the child? What is the process by which the single father, because our laws do not allow adoption of a female child to a single male. So a lot of complexities arose. So Justice Prasad said the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights should intervene and so on and so forth, but they gave an exit permit and allowed the child to leave India. Then the next case which came was John Balas. This is a case of a German couple who gave birth to twin boys in Gujarat. Now the local council issued a birth certificate to both the children, giving them Indian nationality. They said the children have been born to an Indian mother. The commissioning couple was German, but the surrogate was Indian. The government of India challenged this decision in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court stayed the order, but what is the fate of the children? They allowed the children to go back to Germany with their parents with the aid of exit permits, and the children were allowed to leave the country. Now, these two cases created a lot of public outcry. And in Baby Manji Amda, you will find baby words like baby farms, baby factories, exploitation of women. A lot of hard words were used. So there was a public outcry. And the first clampdown came in 2012. In 2012, the government of India decided that all foreigners, NRIs, OCIs, PIOs will need medical visas to come to India for surrogacy, and they will need exit permits to leave the country. Now you must understand that wherever a foreigner comes to India, he may be a person of Indian origin. Once you hold a foreign passport, you are not entitled to Indian citizenship. You are not, dual citizenship is not permitted under Article 9 of the Constitution and Section 9 of the Citizenship Act. So the way they probably wanted to bring it under a scanner and control it. So 2012 came the first check. But by then, there were also bills. The Assisted Reproductive Technologies Bill 2008 was there. Then came the 2010 bill, the 2014 bill, and the 16 bill. 4 bills are there. And then there is the latest one, 17 bill. They're all bills. None of them has gone to be made a law by Parliament. There have been committees looking into them, but there is nothing concrete. Now, 2012 circulars permitted partially surrogacy to go on, but from 2005 to 2015, surrogacy had become a 25,000 crore industry. That is the corpus involved. a surrogacy which may cost up to $50,000 or £40,000 in a foreign jurisdiction can be done for one-third the cost in India. So India became, to put it very crudely, a surrogacy factory. Why? You must appreciate that surrogacy is not allowed in most of Europe. It is against the church. The religious view is very strong. The ethical view, the moral view is very strong. In UK it is allowed. There is a Human Embryology Act which allows surrogacy, but it needs to go to court. The court gives permission. There is limited funds paid. In US it is allowed. So India became a destination for surrogacy because you could find a surrogate mother. You go online, you can find sperm factory sperms, you can find eggs. There are gynecologists, urologists teamed up with lawyers, middlemen, and all kinds of people. You go to Gujarat and there are colonies where surrogate women live. It's amazing how much it flourished. But why did this happen? Because from 2005 to 2015, there was no law. And the 2005 guidelines promoted surrogacy. The bottom line of this is the medical professionals saw this as a development of their profession, and putting it very bluntly, a commodification. People flourished, but it had a positive side everywhere. A surrogate mother willingly and voluntarily got money. The doctors benefited, people who needed children benefited. It was a win-win situation. Everything was very happy, everything was going on. Then all of a sudden, on 4th of November 2015, the government of India withdrew the 2012 circular and said surrogacy for foreigners, OCIs, PIOs, NRIs is banned. Now this is all circulars, policies. And they said no exit permit, no medical visa. And then came the 2016 bill. Now this surrogacy regulation bill 2016 is a very restrictive and a very constricted view of surrogacy. It says essentially surrogacy will be allowed only to infertile Indian couples. So you will need a certificate of proven infertility. I find that atrocious. It's a right of, as a lawyer, I would think it's a right of, it's an invasion of my right of privacy to be called infertile in the first place. I have to wait, and foreigners, OCIs, single parents, gay people, etc., all finished. Then I need to wait for 5 years. Then who will be the surrogate? A female relative in the family who has given birth to a child. And if you have adopted or natural children, you cannot enter surrogacy. Who thought of these? I don't know. It's absolutely violative of all kinds of laws one can conceive of. Testing it on the plank of equality. You all know Article 14 and Article 21. is available to persons. Article 19 is available to citizens. So if I am a person, I can be a foreigner, I can be a single person, I can be anybody. So I am entitled to equality of law and equal protection of laws, and I am entitled to right to life and personal liberty. An interpretation has been developed that my right to life encompasses my right to reproductive autonomy. The government has nobody to decide how I will procreate. Naturally, through a surrogate or through adoption. So there are three choices. Let us look at adoption. I mentioned to you yesterday the Juvenile Justice, Care and Protection of Children Act 2000 was amended in 2015 because India signed the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, and therefore parallel changes were needed. Now, the JD Act is primarily for orphan, abandoned and surrendered children. And under this process, since the child must find a family, the child must find a home, adoptions are the statutory exit through CARA. CARA is now a statutory body. So inter-country adoptions go through CARA by virtue of the JD Act. Under the adoption guidelines of 2000, then 2015, and now 2017, adoptions are permissible to single persons. Adoptions are permissible to foreigners, OCIs, PIOs, NRIs, and are available to persons of irrespective of marital status. Now, this is a very diplomatic way of permitting inter-country adoptions to gay people, single people, people in unmarried cohabitation, or whatever. So by a conscious act in 2017, by a fast-track process of 90 days, you are permitting parenthood by a process of inter-country adoptions legitimately under a law made by Parliament. But what are you doing in surrogacy? You are banning it for persons with same rights, and you are infringing Article 14 and Article 21. In 2012, I had challenged these guidelines on behalf of a foreign single parent in the High Court of Punjab and Haryana. I had pleaded 4 respondents in the petition: the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, the Ministry of External Affairs, the Ministry of Home Affairs, and the Indian Council of Medical Research. They engaged 4 different councils to make 4 different stands. So the Chief Justice said, at least the government of India should take one stand on this. They did not know what to do. Ultimately, they said there is a bill coming, so the petition was rendered infructuous. They said we cannot decide everything. So now today the situation is that surrogacy is not available by virtue of an administrative fiat. There is no law, there is no parliament decision, and the 2016 bill was referred to a select committee by the Rajya Sabha in 2017, and it has given a report number 102, presented on August 10, 2017. It has suggested 9 major changes. I'm going to run through them because this is the opening up. Now, first they say in this 88-page report that surrogacy can never be altruistic. There is no love, there is no compassion, there is a commercial element. So call it compensated surrogacy instead of altruistic surrogacy, with adequate, reasonable compensation to be fixed by the authorities and mandatory appointment of a common authority to obtain full informed consent of surrogate mothers. First. Second, surrogacy should be available to live-in couples, divorced women, widows, NRIs, PIOs, OCIs, to avoid prejudice and discrimination. But they said foreign nationals cannot commission surrogacy in India. If I am an OCI, PIO, or an NRI, I am not a second-rate citizen. Why should I be barred? If you are a foreign national, fine. So this is the second suggestion. Third, recognizing that the fundamental right to reproduce, to have a child, is a person's personal domain. The 5-year period has been held to be arbitrary, discriminatory, and without definable logic. Very strong words. And has been recommended to be 1 year with the right to go for a second chance at surrogacy in case any abnormality is there in the previous child. Very sensible suggestion. Fourthly, holding the limiting of the practice of surrogacy to close relatives as being non-pragmatic and unworkable, the committee has recommended that both related and unrelated women should be permitted to become a surrogate. Now, try to understand the family structure in India. Can you expect a female relative within the family to bear a child? What will be the consequences of families intercede? The woman will always say, this is a child I gave birth to. A child will grow up with a complex of who is my mother. When there have been cartoons to say, this is my biological mother, this is the mother who gave birth to me, and this is the mother who looks after me. Now, you cannot have this in the Indian society. It will create problems. It will create psychological problems. It will create family pressures. And it will be very difficult to force a relative to bear somebody's child. Why would somebody do it? So it's not a workable proposition. It's not a consequence which can be handled socially. Fourthly, the committee suggested that recommendations that screening of intending couples, medical assessment, social economic background, criminal records, and related checks should be there before commissioning surrogacy. Fifthly, the requirement of a certificate for infertility from an appropriate authority has been recommended to be substituted by medical reports. Going to a doctor and say, please declare me as infertile, is not a very healthy thing to do. But look at it from another consequence. I may be medically fertile, but I have a medical condition. I have some ailment, diabetes, hypertension, or some medical complication by virtue of which I cannot conceive the natural way. I cannot give birth the natural way. There may be a risk to my life. So that means I am out? No, that's wrong. So therefore they say, if there are medical reports, if medical reports say that you cannot conceive, though you may be fertile, then that may be a better proposition. Sixthly, the committee recommends practical changes in the constitution of the national and state boards for resolution of legal implications. Seventhly, committee suggests selective sex techniques in surrogacy should be harmonized with existing laws. In surrogacy and procedures are not criminal activities. Punishment should be compensated with the degree of infraction committed. Now, you must understand that surrogacy has reached great advancement in medical technology. In England, you will be surprised to learn 3-parent babies are being born. So, if the mother or the father has some medical condition which has life-threatening consequences or diseases which can be passed on genetically, that defective mitochondria in your genetic material can be replaced by different genetic material from another parent. So legally and legitimately, after making amendments in the Human Embryology Act 2005, United Kingdom permits 3-parent babies. But this is dangerous also. You might have people wanting designer babies, blue eyes, blonde hair, and things like that. So one has to be careful with handling these, and that is why there has to be a regulatory check. Eighthly, amongst miscellaneous recommendations, committee recommends written registered surrogacy agreements, adequate insurance coverage, provision of a birth certificate with names of commissioning parents, establishment of an independent agency with quasi-judicial powers for resolution of disputes involved in parents involved in surrogacy, and mandatory DNA testing for genetic determination of parenthood. Now, these are very important things. A surrogate is wheeled into a hospital. This actually is a practical case. The hospital records the mother conceiving the child as a mother. Unfortunately, she dies giving birth. The commissioning couple comes and claims the child. The hospital says the mother is dead. Who are you? Problems. Surrogacy again is a difficult process to complete. Planting the fertilized material into the womb of a surrogate mother to lead to conception is not easy. So there are a lot of unethical practices in surrogacy clinics, implanting the fertilized egg in 5 different women. And sometimes which woman has given birth to which child is not known. So you have a foreign couple coming very happily, taking the child away. When they go to the embassy for a visa for the child to be taken back to the home country, they insist on a genetic DNA test. And they do the test in their country. So when the report comes back, they are told the genes don't match. This is not your material. So the surrogacy clinic has clearly fumbled. Where is the check on all this? Very difficult. Nothing. Second, where is the quasi-judicial or judicial authority to determine disputes of paternity, disputes of compensation, disputes of the mother having second thoughts on keeping the child unfortunately being born with a medical condition, disowned, child dying, child being born stillborn, rights of parties, money not given. You have to create an authority which is acquainted with law or possessed with statutory or judicial discretion to decide this. An administrative board will not be able to decide these questions. Too technical, too legal, too many rights, no judicial training, no legal mind, difficult, very difficult. Lastly, the ART bills 2008, 2010, 2014 are still lying with the government, and they bring in the 2016. What has happened to the previous ones? I can't say. Now, while all this is going on, in 2017 comes the Assisted Reproductive Technology Regulation Bill 2017 is on public domain. It seeks of establishing a national board, state board, and national registry for regulation of supervised ART clinics and for prevention of misuse, for safe and ethical practices of ART. So this is a big bill setting up national boards and state boards. The question I pose to myself is, have we first defined the parameters of surrogacy? Have we put a law on surrogacy in place? What are these boards going to do? So are we not putting the cart before the horse? Question remains unanswered. Now, while all this is going on, what is actually happening? What is going to be the fate of children born through surrogacy, which, so to say, are, let us say, against the 2016 bill? Tushar Kapoor, as a single parent, gets a boy. Karan Johar gets 2 boys. Sunny Leon and Daniel Weber publicly bring 2 children 1 week ago. What is the government going to do about this? What is the fate of these children, and what is the fault of these children? Sunny Leon and Daniel Weber are foreign citizens. They were already in India when they commissioned the surrogacy, so they did not need a medical visa. They do not wish to go out of the country, so they don't need an exit permit or permission from the Foreigners Regional Registration Office. They are going to live in India. What passport is the children going to have? What nationality will the children have? Who is going to be the father and mother of the children? What is the birth certificate going to read? And what is the government going to do about it? Can the government tell the children to go back from where they came? This is opening a box. Now, these are public figures. These are in media and these are in public domain. I get consulted very regularly on saying, I am an Indian, I was an Indian national. I have an Italian, German, or a British passport, but I live in India. I don't go abroad anymore. I choose to keep this passport because it gives me freedom of travel. But I can't conceive. We can't have a child naturally. Can I do a surrogacy? I don't need a medical certificate. I don't need a medical visa. Although medical visa is gone, I don't need an exit permit. Can I do surrogacy? It goes on quietly. The commercial side. When the 2012 and the 2015 circulars came, surrogacy shifted to Nepal. You impregnated women in India and took them to Nepal. The Israelis, particularly a lot of German couples, a lot of Israelis, and a lot of Europeans. Then came the earthquake in Nepal. There were 46 children of Israeli couples, singles, gays, and married. The government brought fighter planes to take these women out. So then the Supreme Court of Nepal banned surrogacy. Then everything shifted to Thailand. There was a bad case in Thailand. It's all gone to Vietnam, Cambodia. It's going on, but it's gone to other jurisdictions. The Hague is also looking at a national convention on surrogacy. Work is on it. But the question is, where do we go from here? We allowed it to go on from 2005 to 2015. In 10 years, it became an industry worth 25,000 crore with 2 lakh clinics all over India. Can you shut them down today? One logic answer is don't stamp it out, regulate it. If we can have Kara for regulating adoptions, though that is also not fault-free as we saw in Shireen's case yesterday, but we can have screening for surrogates. We can set up a statutory body like Kara. It can do home studies. It can have parallel foreign home studies. Reports can be obtained. Surrogates can be selected. People can be screened. Written contracts can be put in place. They can go before a board. They can go before a court. Checks, balances, streamlining of the system. That seems to be the logical way. But the wisdom of the government to wait and to decide on other grounds probably creates complications and problems in this process. So now this is a very unique field of law. It has constitutional law, it has got family law, it has got criminal elements of law, it has contract law. Another question, 2, 3 incidental questions come. Is a surrogacy contract against public policy? Does it violate section 23 and 26 of the Contract Act? If you have a surrogacy agreement with the commissioning mother, her husband has to swear an affidavit that he is permitting surrogacy to take place and he is permitting his wife to be impregnated. Ordinarily speaking, it would be adultery, unless the consensual element comes. So you are getting around that. You are making an amendment in this law. So there are a lot of ramifications in laws which surround it, and therefore it becomes irreconcilable in certain situations. But it went on for so long that nobody seriously pondered over it, and a 15-member medical body sponsored it and pushed it because the medical professionals profited from it. So this has reached an end to which I think is no turning back. And surrogacy is not new to it. If you go to mythology, Drishtrashtra, and religious and other Indian mythological people, you will find 100 children being born through Devaki and whatnot. It's all there in history. It's not new. So that is not a legal justification, but all the same, it has roots in our system. So friends, this is what it is all about. Now I'll quickly run through this. So this is the 2016 bill, and you have the 2009 Law Commission report. This you can take through the college and you will find. So the 2016 bill, as I've already run down to you, I've given you all these rundown points. Maybe Mandiyamda I told you. Medical visa regulations 2012. Visa requirements, the bill. What do we need? proper build, new age generation. There are issues of exploitation of motherhood, rights of unborn child, and the age restriction is what I just told you. Psychological implications, habitual countries, issues, then arrangements related to administration of births, nationality, John Malad, I told you, single parent service. Now, this is the reported case which I was talking to you about. This is Shihabuddin versus Union of India. 23rd of April 2014. You can take it up, you will find it online. So, violation of Article 21. Now, Article 8 of the European Code of Human Rights. Does anybody know what Article 8 of ECHR is? Anybody? Article 8 of the ECHR talks of right to family life. Any person can go to the European court and claim that he has a right to family life. So if you are split from your family by reasons of immigration, by reasons of policies of governments, you can go to the European court and say, I need to be reunited with my family. I have a right to family life. And there are very strong judgments that families cannot be separated, particularly children. So now, progressive views of our Supreme Court. Now, you have seen the judgment of Justice Sen in ABC versus State. Now, this is the first time the Supreme Court is using ABC. They're not using a real name. Now, it said that a single mother is entitled to a birth certificate of a child born out of wedlock without asking her to name the father. This is JT 2015-6 SC 103. Then next, Nalsa versus Union of India, judgment of Justice Sikri, recognizing discrimination on the grounds of sexual orientation or gender identity as offensive of Article 14. So transgenders have been given rights by virtue of this judgment 2014-5 Scale 1. Now these are all path-breaking views of the Supreme Court. Because our parliament doesn't answer, so courts evolve views which are very positive in that direction. Then came Shabnam Hashmi. Now Shabnam Hashmi, 2014-4 SCC 1, says Muslims have a right of adoption. Now Muslim personal law does not allow adoptions because they go outside blood. But Shabnam Hashmi gives right to Muslims to adopt because they say it offends Article 14. Then came Stephen John Becker. This is 2013-12 SCC 786. Now this is the case of a 53-year-old single woman wanting to adopt a 10-year-old child. Kara refused, the JJ judge refused, the High Court refused. Justice Gogoi turned it around and said, the child is going to find a home. The mother will take care of the child, and despite the rigors of Kara and the Kara guidelines, this adoption was permitted. So this is again a path-breaking. Now, compare this with surrogacy. If a 53-year-old woman is allowed to adopt a 10-year-old child, why can't a single person do surrogacy? So larger issues, parentage, nationality, issuance of passports, legislation for stateless children. Stateless children are what I just told you. Children born to foreign nationals in India who do not wish to go outside India, want to remain in India. Because the moment you go to your embassy or your high commission in India, they will ask you how was this child born? And if you say it was born through surrogacy, they will say surrogacy is not allowed. But it's too late in the day to complain. But what happens to the children? Will the foreign government refuse to issue passports? And if a foreign high commission or an embassy refuses, where will you agitate an adjudication of these rights? Will you go to the Supreme Court of India? Will you go to the forum? It hasn't come up, but it will. So due diligence mechanism, multiple forum shopping of commissioning parents, creation of a regulatory environment. So a surrogacy ombudsman, this may be ultimately required. International surrogacy arrangements, Contract Act of 1872, exhaustive legislation. You can have this PowerPoint through your college because it is available here. So, in national insurance, adequate protections through embassies. So this is the economics. What it costs abroad, what it costs in India. Just a rundown of figures. Then what do we need? We need a surrogacy legislation, one-stop shop, legal rights for use of genetic material. Now, there is a very interesting facet of the last point. After surrogacy was banned for foreigners, you had frozen eggs or embryos literally in cryogenic jars. You put them under very high nitrogen pressure, you freeze them. And they say there are plenty of them lying at Sahar airport in warehouses. Because surrogacy was banned, they are still there. What is going to happen to them? There has been a petition in Bombay High Court by a foreign couple saying we want it back. The government says we will not give it back. Now these are issues which baffle, but they will need decisions. So this is another facet which has very interesting dimensions. Then illegal trading in embryos. This needs to be taken care of by law. Creation of depending multiple issues. Mother retracting her consent. Mother keeps a child in her womb for 9 months, develops feelings. At the end of the day, says, "I am not going to give the child." There is a written contract which says she has to, but if she refuses, what do you do? What are the rights of the child? What are the rights of the mother? What are the rights of the commissioning parents? So, a aggrieved mother should be empowered to invoke jurisdiction of National Commission for Women. Could be one view. NCW coming in, then provision for mandatory coordination of NCW with other bodies. Contract relationship. Mandatory. What is the position of embryos? Designer babies. Data protection. Should this data be available publicly? No. So collective responsibilities of governments, provision for international cooperation. Latest Hague report, you can have a look at it online. So this is what the first secretary of the Hague says. We are at the crossroads of family law, migration law, and refugee law. Application of the 1966 Convention on the Coupling and Separated Children. And it says We are confronted here with a similar situation. This is with surrogacy. The immigration perspective, as I told you, Article 8, separation of the child from the family. We'll have a look at this. So that's it. Now let's come to the interesting part. Questions. One by one, plenty. I'm not in a hurry, don't worry. It's 11:30, we go on as long as you want because there is no lunch and there is no restriction of time.
Sir, I have two questions intertwined with one another.
Yeah.
Which essentially is about the agreements, about the services. Sir, I believe as also told by you, so this is governed by Section 10 of the Indian Contract Act, the agreements. Sir, what is the first of all, what is the role of the consent? As you said that the
Now, if you don't hear her, I will not hear you. We have to hear her. Please be fair to her. Yes.
so what is the role of the consent? As you said, the husband has to sign an affidavit sort of thing. What if the lady was the lady did not give a free consent? First of all, what is the rate of it?
See, there is nothing like no free consent. If you are becoming a surrogate, you are going to keep a baby in your womb for 9 months. So there is no question of free consent. I mean, you can revoke your consent before the process or while the process is on. You can't wait for 9 months and say, well, oh, my consent was not free. It's too late in the day. It will be very difficult. See, you can't have your cake and eat it too. If you take the money, then you can't say, I'm going to keep the baby as well. So that is not going to be an acceptable situation. And let me tell you, somebody who does it for money may not 9 times out of 10, there may be a straight case, will not agree to parting with the money. You did it for money.
So my question was, if the husband coerces the wife, like you must do it, it is for the sake of money, it is for our welfare and all other sorts of things, if he like forces on her, and she has to go through it, and later on, in between the stage, if there are some medical complications or whatsoever, then she says that I did not give a free consent at all. So what is say at the 6th month of the pregnancy if this happens?
See, this is why I say you need to put a system in place. To put a system in place, you need to put a law in place. And in the law, you need to have a court, you need to have a quasi-judicial or a judicial authority for determination of these rights. You cannot expect a doctor, a layperson, or an administrative authority to go into this question because it does not have the legal acumen, the training of law to determine these rights. What is free consent? Who will be the best person to interpret it? A lawyer or a judge? Because it's a plain, simple proposition of law of contract. What is free consent? What is undue influence? What is misrepresentation? What is coercion? Where is it defined? Contract Act. So who will read the Contract Act? You think some doctor or some officer? No. So what do you need? You need a proper authority. You need a court. You need a composition with a judicial mind to determine what were the factors which went into consent. What is the consent? What is the consent vitiated with? Then only you take it up. So what you have done, you have allowed it. See, it's like opening the gates of a dam. You have allowed everything to flow. Now, all of a sudden, you want to close the gates. Can you do it? No. So this is what has happened. And you are not regulating it. You want to shut it down and you want to close your eyes to it. You have allowed it to go on for 10 years. So these questions have come. And you are not willing to answer those questions. You don't want to look at them. You want to ignore them. You feel they don't exist. Not possible. Second question,
So,
done.
yes, sir. My second question is that, sir, are the parties free and will to decide what are the
clauses of that agreement very attentively. Say, if a person, if a couple, considering parents, they want a term in the clause that in the agreement that the child must be a baby boy with and with like healthy features and whatsoever. So can if the child born is a girl and the girl
No,
is
can't. You see, you have enactments in India. The Sex Diagnostic Act. Choosing sex is not policy. You will not be able to draft a contract contrary to law. And if you do it and you are caught, you see, most of these contracts are printed forms where you sign on the dotted line. There is very little variation. And let me tell you, no surrogacy clinic or doctor will risk sex selection. And that also in a contract written. It's straight away incrimination. You will be caught by law. So sex selection not possible.
sir, I can always offer a healthy baby like this also.
I don't think you can opt for a healthy baby. There have been cases where children have been born with medical abnormalities. The commissioning mother disowns, the commissioning parents disown, the surrogate refuses. Then the hospital says, all right. There have been cases in Delhi where the hospitals have called the police and said, these are the people. So they have to take the child. There's no way out. But if something bad happens, then you fall back on Kara. Adoption of pregnant, surrendered, and children without parents. They can go into adoption. There is a fallback option, at least in the system to that extent. Done? Next.
Sir,
You first.
sir, what's wrong with the commercial?
Whoever wants to ask a question should stand up immediately. Yes.
So what's wrong with the commercial surrogacy? What's your personal opinion on it?
Speaking for myself, there is nothing wrong with it.
Okay, so
You tell me. You tell me. Suppose tomorrow the government decides all lawyers will work free. They will work without fee. Is it possible? So today the government has decided all surrogacy will be free. It will be altruistic surrogacy. Can it happen? Same principle.
So sir, what's government's stand over it? Why it is prohibiting the commercial surrogacy in 2016 bill?
You ring up the health minister, find out and let me know.
The second question.
There is no, I don't understand the logic. I think it is religious. I think it is saying that this interferes with this law of nature. That is a religious ideology of a particular view. That is the view of the church also. That you can't play God. You can't manufacture babies. You can't do it by a process which is against the law of nature.
It's quid pro quo. Nothing happens.
Absolutely. You want a baby, you pay for it. Simple. If the woman needs money, give her the money. What's wrong with it? Well, there are views that it is exploitation, this is violation of human rights. But then you are in a different school if you are talking like that. So you have to balance your views. Let somebody who wants to do it, do it. If somebody doesn't want to do it, don't do it. But the point is, either you should not let it grow. You have allowed it to go on for 10 years. I'm not saying you have conferred legitimacy, but it is going on in a regulated way. So cap it, harmonize it, rationalize it, put legitimacy through proper conditions on it. It can happen.
The second question is that.
I thought that was the whole question.
Yes, sir.
Anyway, one more question.
The question is that today's time present, there is no specific legislation or act over the surrogacy. Okay. There are some guidelines which were like 2012, which has been reverted in 2015. So what is the exact law as of now, which is we are following in India, or maybe guidelines?
You see, the guidelines of 2015 banning surrogacy for foreigners and not allowing it at all is the law. See, if you're a foreigner, OCI or a NRI living outside India, you will not be able to come to India without a medical visa. If you come via the wrong way, come on a tourist visa, if you go to a surrogacy clinic and they ask you, are you a foreigner? You say yes. They will say, you are not allowed to do surrogacy. Somebody may still do it. All right, you did it. The baby is born. You will need to go to your embassy for a visa. You will need to go to the FRR for an exit permit. Nobody will give it to you. And will you risk going through this whole process? Let me narrate to you a very interesting case which happened in Hyderabad. This is a Jamaican lady who comes from the US with her husband's frozen sperm in a jar. He came in the Hindu. The man suffered from aerophobia, fear of flying. She could not conceive. So she brought his sperm in a jar, found an egg, found a surrogate, gave birth to baby emperor. Baby was born. She went to the passport officer in Hyderabad. He says, you go and get a DNA report. This baby is not yours. I can't give you a passport. Go to your embassy. She says, there is no Jamaican embassy in India. She kept going to the passport officer, Mr. Srinath Reddy, for 1 month. He refused to give her a passport or any permission to leave the country. One fine morning, she went to his office, kept the baby on his table and said, you keep it. I'm going. Thank you. So they called her back, gave her an exit permit and told her to leave the country. So this is what is happening. Now you should ring up Sunny Leon and find out what is she going to do about her children's passport. Will you do that? Where is Arnav Goswami? The world wants to know. Yes. Oh, there you are. Yes, sir. But please stand there only today.
But I have a problem, sir.
Oh.
But I cannot ask you about my place.
Sir, why don't you come and take the mic? Come to the right. Would you like to come here? I can go there.
Sir, there are many views that we must leave the circus better with the contract part. Do you agree with it?
Yeah. Serious.
Sir, do you agree with it?
Come again.
Sir, actually there are many views that we must leave the surrogacy part with the contract. So how well you will respond in this matter?
Surrogacy part with the contract. Can you explain a little more about your view?
Sir, just let me explain. Sir, there are many views, as I said. Okay, we must leave. We are not intended to make new laws for surrogacy. Because how shocking it will be for an adopted child when she discovers in her or his later life that he was an adopted child from, or he may discover something like the parents with whom she is living is not the real biological parent. Then what is going to happen? Conflicts. Then it may be possible that the relations may not work further. So can we leave this part with the contract? Like we can go into the long list of contracts. Like the adoptive parents can go for insurance. They will provide the bond and so many things else.
So what you are trying to say is surrogacy will create complications.
Yes, sir.
Tomorrow, if the child discovers, oh, I am not the natural child.
Maybe, sir. Maybe if it is.
So it is like that child who said, this is my natural mother, this is my surrogate mother, and this is the mother who took care of me.
Sir, let me give you a real example, sir.
Real example, everybody. Please. Yes.
Sir, Asha Dixit. She was been adopted from Delhi. Okay, and later on, she thought she was being abandoned by her real family, and she went with the biological parents, not the adoptive parents, to the Netherlands. After, when she was 15, she discovered that she was brought from India, and the parents with whom she is living are not the real biological parents. Later on, she influenced her mother and came back to India. Then, after coming back to India, she finally discovered that her biological parents are living, and she has 3 siblings, and she was being abandoned by her family because she was the second daughter, which her biological parents have refused to accept the second daughter.
What can we do about it?
So yes, we cannot do anything about it, but we can. That's why I'm saying that like, why cannot we leave the surrogacy matter with contract?
I think the only way surrogacy can be handled is through contracts. The more loose you leave it, the more undefined you leave it, the more unregulated you leave it, the more flexible you leave it to discretion, more the problems, bigger the complications, and more the complexities. Contract is the only way to solve surrogacy. Written, registered contracts with penal consequences or violation and a proper mandatory judicial or a quasi-judicial authority to adjudicate disputes on contract of surrogacy is the only answer and the only possible way in which we can do it. I cannot disagree with you, otherwise there will be problems. So I agree with you.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. So we started from the bottom, last. Okay, fire off.
I have a question, sir, in regard to getting two ones. Firstly, that the definition under Article 14 of the Indian Constitution, in regards to the NASA versus Union of India, in regards to NASA, the definition of person. So whether the product of surrogacy is considered to be person under Article 14, or for that matter of fact, for the fundamental rights. If it is considered to be a person under the fundamental rights, then there has to be remedies for the violation or any grievances that is there. Hence, the law is basically naturally applied rather than statutory body that is being referred. Hence, if we talk about the word person, then the surrogacy, is it an object subjected to contract, or is it a natural person to be considered under the Constitution?
Right. Am I supposed to answer that? First of all, I think as long as a child is not born to surrogacy material, it is not a person. See, something which has no life into it. When does life come? Life comes on birth. So when do you become a person? On birth. So when do rights flow to you? On birth. So Article 14 is not going to be available to you as long as you are in the womb or in a cryogenic jar.
But sir, it's also available to unborn children as well who are in
You see, just a moment. Till you are born, Article 14 does not flow to you. I think I'm very clear with that. So Article 14 will be available to you the moment you see the light of the day. That is when rights will flow to you. So that is the starting point for availability of any rights to you as a child. And before that, to the commissioning parents or the commissioning mother. That is how I look at it. Where is the complexity? What is the question now?
the main question about this industry embryos or for that matter of fact this method or technique. But if it is considered as a person when it is born, hence you cannot consider its inception not to be a part of the Indian Constitution itself, as the law is not being made only in regards as it's an artificial technique which a person is born. But if we talk about the law on surrogacy, my major question was that the Indian Constitution guarantees all the fundamental rights even to a surrogate product. Because as it becomes a life.
Indian Constitution does not guarantee rights to surrogate products.
That was the main question was whether
See, what is Article 23? Equality of law and equal protection law. Every person who is a person, first question, is a surrogate material. An unfertilized egg or a fertilized egg. Is a fertilized egg a person? Yes or no? You answer that question to me first. Is a fertilized egg a person? You first let us go step by step. Is a fertilized egg a person? No. So there is no Article 14 available to an unfertilized egg or a fertilized egg. Till the fertilized egg does not become a baby and is not born, Article 14 doesn't flow to it. So when does Article 14 come? When you are born. When do you have a right to parents? When you are born. When do you have a right to family? When you are born. When do you have a right to be given a passport, a nationality, and a home? When you are born. Can you, without being born, claim these rights? No. So that's where Article 14 comes in. Good, clear. Next. Yes. Please, please.
Sir, it is a reality that there is not a strict ban over anything. What is not allowed from the front door, it can be allowed from the back door. But again, the problem here is that in this surrogacy, as you said, is totally a contractual obligation and contractual. One can say it just based on the contract. But again, if we put the clauses of surrogacy, it will be an illegal object in relation with the contract. Then doesn't it violate the right of the surrogate mother if if the couples who are there for the surrogacy do not refuses to take child back from the surrogate mother, will not it be violation of the surrogate rights of surrogate mother and that child? And again, the surrogate mother become surrogate mother in very tough condition when they do not have any other perspective of livelihood. That means they are poor. Then will not it be hinder the growth of the child and the society will get affected because of this?
I have lost your question. See, first question, does it violate contract law?
Yes.
It does. It is all contracts which violate public policy are void ab initio.
That is true.
Fine, it's going on. So, if you are going to legitimize surrogacy, you will need to make it an exception. So, you will have to legitimize a surrogacy contract and approve it by public policy. You already did it. How? The 2005 guidelines. The 2005 guidelines carried on for 10 years as a public policy. Read them. They're on the net. They allowed surrogacy for single persons also.
But
So-
again, now it has been banned.
It has been banned. So you have created a crisis. You reflected a public policy allowing surrogacy and thereby turned a blind eye to the Contract Act. But all of a sudden you are now enlightened. And by the way, you are still allowing it to infertile Indian couples with a 5-year marriage and proved infertility with a female relative in the family. You are not said surrogacy is banned for everybody. You are still leaving the window for Indians, Indian couples. So tell me, if an Indian couple does it, is section 23 and 26 and public policy of the Contract Act not involved? So the government is restricting it, but still legitimizing it, still overlooking the public policy and the Contract Act violation. So it is a contradiction in terms. See, you have to reconcile and harmonize and balance the laws. That is the job of the parliament. Look at it from another perspective. You are allowing single persons, foreigners, everybody a right of parenthood through adoption. But you are banning this right through surrogacy. Is it not violation of Article 14, equality of law and international laws? So there are a lot of crises and crosses. See, these are new age inventions, new age problems, new age innovations. What year is the Indian Contract Act? Anybody? 1872. We are today in 2018. So you probably have to change with time. You have to amend. You have to progress. So if you have allowed something to go on for 10 years and you still have a restrictive public policy allowing it, you will have to harmonize it with your other laws.
Sir, to be precise, the basic question which I want to ask was.
Oh, there's still one more question.
Unfortunately.
Oh, I'm so sorry, I got lost.
The question is that if the couple refuses to take the baby to survey, will not be with the formation of rights of survey.
Definitely it will be. See, suppose each child, let us say, unfortunately is born with some medical abnormality, and the commissioning couple refuses to take the child. It has happened. There was a child born with Down syndrome and the Australian couple refused. And which is why surrogacy was banned, particularly in Thailand. That's ethically and morally wrong. You have to take it. There is no way out. So therefore, as Mr. Arnab Goswami said, a contract is necessary. You have to put it in a contract that if you do not take the child, you will be penalized. This will be the amount you will have to pay. This is the violation. You will be held liable under so and so section. You may perhaps have to amend the Indian Penal Code and talk of abandonment of a child born through surrogacy as a criminal offence. You will have to do it. So the penalty for, as we saw in adoption yesterday, the penal clause for infringement and violation should be such a deterrent that nobody should even think of abandoning or giving up a surrogate child.
So, but again, as you said yesterday that there was one point where you said that there is no generation of revenue out of it. Again, there is no generation of revenue out of surrogacy.
There is 25,000 crores.
No, but there is no benefit to the government. I mean, it promotes a medical tourism.
Young lady, you bring in foreign direct investment. Money comes in from foreign countries. FDI.
Sir, but why
Have you heard my TED talk on surrogacy? It's on YouTube. Google it. I did it in Xavier's Mumbai 2 years ago. It brings in money, or it brings in foreign currency. Dollars come in, euros come in. See, when people come, you know there are surrogacy packages offered by agents. Surrogate mother here, holiday here, tour to Agra, tour to Kashmir with the surrogacy package. So many dollars, it's become an industry. It's a big business. Who taxes? We can have GST 28% on it. Mr. Jaitley will be very happy. You can tax it actually. Surrogacy tax, 44%. All to go to the revenue. See, somebody has, it can be a money spinner also. But let me tell you, it has brought in a lot of foreign exchange. Go to Gujarat. See Dr. Nayana Patel's hospital. I went and lectured in GNLU, Gujarat National University. She has built a hospital which is as big as their entire campus. It's massive. It has brought in a lot of revenue. It has brought in a lot of money for the government also. So it's a money spinner, all right. Any more question left? No last question? Good.
So let us consider that consent given by surrogate mother was free.
Okay.
And it further states if a mother, surrogate mother, suffers from a medical anomaly or any other medical problems. So at that point of time, can she terminate the pregnancy without the consent of the commissioning parents by her own will? There itself, what does the consent clear?
See, this is defined in the clauses in the agreement. Suppose there is a medical condition which threatens the very life of the mother or the baby. and the doctor who is competent to take a decision in this regard is of the view that it should be terminated, and it has to be terminated. It is a clause in the contract. You see, these medical professionals, if you look at these contracts, they are so well written that there is no margin for any plague or any anomaly. They take care of all these situations. So that can be that is workable within the contract. The answer is the better the contract, the better the wording, the more it covers, better it is. Back to Mr. Arvind Goswami, contract and surrogacy. Yes, done. Yeah, go on.
Sir, somewhere I think that whether surrogacy promotes child trafficking or not, because due to its legal status, it violates Article 21, it violates Article 23 also.
See, let's test your argument. Would you prefer to promote a trade of trafficking of children by dubious, unscrupulous, money-changing means? Or would you prefer to legitimize it by putting a law in place with a transparent system? Going back to your situation, can you legitimize trafficking? Can you say, all right, children will be bought and sold? No. But let us suppose you legitimize surrogacy. You say it is going to be an impregnation of surrogate material, your genetic material, to a surrogate for amount X, with so and so defined rights. Don't you think that is a better evil? Bad, you see, a bad evil, a better evil. What would you choose between? Better evil or bad evil? So there's your answer.
But sir, due to its a legal status, I'm talking about that case. Some people.
You see, the point is, you have to decide what you want to do. You either have to say this is legal or you have to say it is illegal. In 2005, you said it is illegal. It is legal. In 2015, you say it is legal for infertile Indian couples. So you are yourself not clear what you want to do. Policy and law is made by Parliament. So Parliament has to take a call. See, there are 5 bills, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17. They are themselves not clear what they want to do. So unless you have a clear public policy and a law, either you say surrogacy is illegal for everybody, like it is in Europe in most countries.
But the law commission reports also, like the law commission.
Law commission says permit altruistic surrogacy. The parliament report says permit compensated surrogacy. So you have a divided house. You have no clarity of thought. You have views, but you can't take them on the anvil before Parliament. And there are decisions of the Supreme Court also, interim orders. There have been public interest litigation petitions. So it is a flux. And the only way to answer it is, the sooner you take a call, the sooner you decide, the sooner you adopt the law, the better it is. If you don't want to do it, more problems. You will have more people giving birth, and ultimately the situation will be that the courts will have to resolve it. Next.
Said that a person enjoys it from the time he's born.
Yes.
Then why is feticide a crime?
Oh, I never thought of that. Female feticide, you see, that goes on violation of killing by predetermination diagnostic tests of the female sex. you are actually, female feticide is more on, it's okay, don't bother about that. Female feticide is more on the offense of identification of the sex. And you are right, I mean, it's a killing of an unborn female sexual fetus. You may, it is probably more to weed out the practice of trying to kill a female person, female child in the womb. It really doesn't confer, it's not a violation of the right of the female child, but it is more of a societal norm, societal practice, or a discrimination between sex. So you cannot compare the two situations. I know it sounds at variance, but it's a different situation. You can't say that the Article 14 is violated of an unborn child. The question, the issue will still be the same.
Same in relation to abortion. Abortion, there is no sex determination.
No, abortion is permissible in certain circumstances, but beyond a certain stage, it is not.
Even sex determination is the rights of the child, but in other sense, is what they have no rights. Then why sex determination rights?
Because as a policy, you cannot discriminate on sexual grounds or determination of sex. See, it is not a violation. The question will still be the same. It is not a violation of the undetermined unborn child. It's more a question of public policy. It's a different situation. Sex determination is not bad because you are violating the right of the female child to be born. It's a public policy. You cannot discriminate. You cannot kill a female child because you cannot discriminate between a girl and a boy. The parameters are different. It's intriguing, challenging, yes. But the situations are different. Somebody there at the back? Yes.
What if because of surrogacy, the surrogate mother develops a disease or disorder later on? Then what are the rights and the remedies available?
See, this is why it is said there should be comprehensive insurance and medical policies to take care of situations like that. Suppose post-birth trauma, alienation, or medical complications come post-birth, there should be adequate medical coverage in the shape of an insurance policy, or added compensation, or monetary compensation, or psychological counseling, etc. Again, a fine print in the contract. The contract must take care of such exigencies. Once it's there in the contract, then it's taken care of. Next.
So you have shared an aspect of complications which may arise from surrogacy, that wherein the surrogate mother dies after giving birth to the baby and the biological parents do not have access to the child from the hospital authorities. So isn't there any pre-mentioned provisions in the contract to avoid such situations?
You see, once there is a contract that you are commissioning the surrogacy, you can be identified as the commissioning parents. Now, if the hospital still refuses to part with the child, and there is no law on surrogacy, as a lawyer, I would think I would go under a petition under 226 to the High Court and say, this is my child. It was born through surrogacy. The government hospital or the state cannot decline access to me to my child. After all, I am the commissioning parent. The genetic material is mine, or I am responsible for this. I wish to own it. This is what happened in Jan Balas. This is what happened in baby Manji Amda. And the courts, in the best interest of the child, always lean, even if they have to, against public policy, for the child to find a parent. What is the fault of the child? Suppose somebody was to take away children born to these celebrities by virtue of saying, no, 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 this is not allowed, we are taking your children away. You think the children can be separated from their parents? And suppose they are, let us assume the worst case. I would straight away take it to a High Court of the Supreme Court and say, this is my child, this is my act. I am a conscious parent of it. My child cannot be separated from me. But then the larger question is, are we going to leave it like this forever? We did it in 2008. We did it in 2012. Can you Supreme Court come running every time and do patchwork? No. We have to make a law. We have to take a call. Parliament has to answer. See, if you don't, you will find the Supreme Court laying down guidelines very soon. It will happen. And then maybe like Vishakha, after 15 years, we'll get up. But you never know. You know, this government has a different view. The government which comes up year after may have a different view. So it's a political answer. They may take a call, they may not take a call. But you have to take a call. If people come forward and say, this is a child born to me through surrogacy in India and I am a foreign national, what will you do? You have to take an answer. Right? Next.
During gestation period, if the commissioning parents die,
Slowly, can we hear her please? The
during gestation period, the commissioning parents die, who will take the custody?
both gone. Both of them gone.
Yes.
Oh.
In the if there is a situation like the commissioning parent or their parents, like their families are ready to take their child, and surrogate mother is saying she will take care of the child. Like in that case, who will take care of the child? The custody.
This is something you can look at in the agreement with the clause. There is no clause. There is a dispute. There is no court. Take it to the civil court. There is no other answer. Let me give you instances. There are people who, despite the contract, after the child is born, still file a collusive suit for declaration and injunction. The suit is filed. Can we have some silence, please? Excuse me. Silence, please. You have the commissioning parents filing a collusive suit against the surrogate parents, and they suffer a decree saying they will not claim the children, that they are giving up their rights as children allowed to them, and they are conferring the status of the children on the commissioning parents. So that kind of situation has happened. Now, suppose nothing happens. Fallback option, JD Act. Often abandoned surrendered children. Children go through adoption. There is a way to it. Next. Any more? Sir, you should ask any question. Yes, yes. Good. I take the chair.
I have not yet started my question. Today is Gudi Padwa, the first day as per the Hindu calendar and the beginning of the new year. What gift I could give to my students, other than the speaker like Advocate Anil Malhotra sir. A big clap for him. Today the dais has also been graced by the Lady Luck. So I also welcome Honorable Mrs. Simi Malhotra, the Lady Luck of the dais. Give a big clap for her. You all are the adopted children of this college for 5 years. Not surrogates, yes. Not really, sir. I keep them boring every day. So I thought I should have some great resource persons because they're already bored every day by my lectures. Having told all, having told all, I'm amazed and really surprised by the participation level shown by our students. Everybody has done a good job, and congratulations, you are now well trained in the subject of private international law. This will be this will be an added qualification, added certificate along with the degrees you will get, and will carry much weight whenever you will apply for any of the places or any of the positions in the law firms. Furthermore, coming up to the topic, all right. I know how you're feeling because once I was a student, क्योंकि साल भी कभी बहुत थी. So I know how you all are feeling, and I must congratulate sir because sir, uh, you are the best, one of the best speakers I've ever seen. The experience I met him way back in Chandigarh in 2016. We were judging the states and semi-final rounds in the RGNUL Patiala, and from that moment onwards, I have become fan of sir. And from then only, I wanted to invite him. And the day I started the classes of private international law for our fourth-year students, I promised my students that one day, one fine day, we'll have the seminar like this. And as a result, here you are, right? Now, all right, all right. I said that sir is one of the best speakers because of the fact that I have seen as a student. All right, don't talk, please. Discipline. Maintain some disciplines. All right, go on. I won't speak. You go on. Please. You have to listen. You have to. You have no other choice. I would let you out. What I was telling you was, sir was one of the best speakers. Why? Because we also have attended as students so many guest lectures, legal discourses when I was a student. And if somebody used to ask a question after the session, already session used to last 1.5 hours. And if somebody asked a question, 1, 2, 3, question 5. But if some people used to ask too many questions, I don't know. They have all the things to be asked on that particular day only. So we used to say to ourselves, I'm sorry, but I have to say this. We used to ask this, इसी को भी अभी बोलना था, इसी को भी अभी पूछना था, सारा आज ही पूछ ले. So, so I know how you're feeling. But believe me, I cannot give you the greatest gift that I've given you today on this auspicious occasion of Gudi Padma. So I once again thank both Mr. and Mrs. Malhotra sir and Madam who have come all the way from Chandigarh to grace this particular occasion, to grace the 2 days training program on the private international law. And I thank you all for your patience, for your time. Everybody was so patient. I admire the same. Right? Your certificates will be given to you right away. However, you have to be a little patient. Certificates will be given one by one to you. Please allow the guests to leave the auditorium, and then one by one, starting from that row, we'll give you the certificates. Don't rush up the things. everybody will get the certificate of these 2 days training program. I would like to record my profound appreciation for the organizing committee, those involved, those who have involved in organizing this grand event successfully, the SRC committee, Chief Justice Court committee, especially the Chief Justice Court, they have done a wonderful job. So big clap for them. I think I once again would like to thank both of them, and this would be the right time to conclude because otherwise they are going to kill me. So thank you so much. Have a great day and have a nice Gudi Padwa. Like I said, be patient, please.
Please be seated.